and welcome back to BroPod. I'm Nathan.
And I'm Sean.
So, before we get started today, I would like to start off by saying we did mention earlier that we do enjoy receiving feedback and suggestions from you guys, our listeners. So, we actually decided to base this episode solely on a suggestion made by a listener. In today's episode, we'll be talking about what scares us and what makes something truly terrifying.
Yeah, shout out to whoever recommended that. Now, everyone is scared of something. Snakes, deadlines, society, all kinds of wacky stuff. There's a phobia for everything out there. Now, Nathan, I want to start by asking you about your fear of the dark, which he was, telling me about before.
So, well, it's, I want to start off by saying I am not scared, like deathly scared of the dark. I'm more uncomfortable in the dark because for me, I can't see anything in the dark because who knows? There might be some murder in the dark, there might be some weird monster in the dark, but this is me now. But when I was little, say 4 or 5 years old, I wouldn't even step a foot into a dark room in our house. I I was so scared at night. I had to sleep with a freaking nightlight because I was
Ooh.
so scared. I there was I was scared of there might be somebody hiding in my closet or somebody below my bed or you know what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, I
It's
think
just
let me add on to that. I think
yeah.
the dark itself isn't scary, but maybe what lurks inside the dark. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. It's not the dark itself. It's what like it's inside the
Like what could
darkness.
be in the
Like who
dark? Like, as you said, serial killer, monster under the bed. You can't see what's going on. You don't know what's in there. Anything could be in there,
yeah,
right? That's why it's called
yeah,
the
like you
dark,
said. There's this element of like ambiguity. What do you know what I mean, right? So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you don't know what's in the dark. That's what makes it scary. And something might jump out at you and you would be not prepared. And then see that's just and then over time I guess it just got better. I just got more confident, I guess you could say. But
Yep.
still I'm still uncomfortable of the dark.
I
So,
mean,
for
we're all
example,
uncomfortable of the dark though, right?
yeah.
Hmm.
But I guess some people, I guess, are it's like varying degrees. Like for me right now, I'm still kind of uncomfortable in the dark. Like I will give an example. So, for example, I wake up in the night, and then so I have this to get a better understanding. I in my room I have this coat rack, and I put my jacket or my hoodies on there, and it's right in front of my bed in a corner. And whenever I wake up in the night, sometimes like I sit up and when I look straight, since my head is all like I'm still groggy, I'm still like really I'm not really aware of like the time and
Yep.
my eyes are like they're just able to make out rough outlines in the darkness and there's a street light shining into my window from outside. So with my eyes and that street light, there I'm able to make out the coat rack, but sleepy me still didn't know it was a coat rack, and my brain probably registered it as some sort of monster or like a shadow demon that's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
like
I know what
pounce
you
on
mean.
me,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, it's just it gets me all the time. No matter how many times I I try and tell myself it's just a coat rack. It's just a coat rack. The first thing that comes into my mind is, oh, it's a demon in the house. There, it's gonna get me. Like you get what I mean, right?
Yeah, the dark. It's very scary. Like if you look at any horror game, I'm betting like 99% of them they're in a dark place. Like a dark setting cuz the dark is just scarier. Like in Five Nights at Freddy's, it's dark. Phasmophobia, super dark. I mean, you can turn the lights on, but it like makes the game harder. So you're supposed to like have the
Yeah, if
lights
you
up
turn
all
on
the
the
time.
light on, it doesn't really make a difference. And like you said, Five Nights at Freddy's, it should be pretty obvious that the game is set during the nighttime. You have to survive until 6 a.m. and it's still dark outside. So I guess things like you said, video games, they add this element of darkness to kind of shroud something. It gives something an element of ambiguity that gives some things the fear factor.
Yeah, like I think killer animatronics would be less scary if they're running around in the daytime than in like, in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
right?
It wouldn't have as big as a fear factor as, when they're in the dark.
Of course, yeah. So, what do you think about scarecrows? Now, I know some people are scared of scarecrows. So, what do you think about that?
Now, scarecrows, personally, I'm not scared of them. Well, they're really mainly to scare birds
I
in
know,
the
yeah.
crop
It's
in the
like
crop field.
scarecrows, they do a job. They do a good job to scare the birds. But I know some
Yeah.
people like see them as these scary things, maybe because they like resemble a human or something.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know if you watched this movie. There's this movie called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Hmm.
There's actually this part in that movie where a scarecrow. Now, this is spoilers, so uh, if you haven't watched it, just don't listen to me at all and just stop playing this podcast.
Yeah.
Anyways, you've been warned. So there's this part where there's this bully who taunts the scarecrow, who kicks the scarecrow and stabs the scarecrow with like a pitchfork. All
Ooh.
of a sudden, the scarecrow springs to life, and being a horror movie, when I was watching it with one of my friends, I actually jumped in my seat when the scarecrow actually started moving
Yeah.
because they get you with, first of all, the jump scare, and there's always the loud noise. It's like bang, and then all of a sudden it just starts moving, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily scared of a scarecrow, but it's just how some movies, for example, like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, how it kind of manipulates a scarecrow, and like you said, Five Nights at Freddy's. Sometimes like take Freddy Fazbear as one of the characters. I guess you
Yeah.
could call it a character. It's an
Animatronic. Yeah.
antagonist, yeah, animatronic. It's a teddy bear. Now, when somebody says teddy bear, you're not immediately scared, of course. It's a teddy bear. It's supposed to be cuddly. It's supposed to be cute and all that kind of stuff. But what the game Five Nights at Freddy's does to that word teddy bear is they manipulate it. They make it just scarier. They just increase that fear factor I was talking about, right? And then all of a sudden, you're faced with this scary animatronic that's trying to murder you in the game.
Yeah. It's
So
like
I guess it just depends. It just depends how much they make it scary. I guess if that's what
the actual
they call
design
it.
of the characters is very unsettling for some reason. Like, have you seen like Bonnie, like the bunny? He just looks
Yes.
terrifying. Like, even like if I didn't know he was a killer, I would still think that's a scary animatronic. Like
Yeah.
something
I
about him,
think.
right?
Yeah. I think it's just if you look at them. My first impression with, Freddy, or like you said, Bonnie. My first impression was okay. There's something definitely off about these things. There's something. It's not right. It doesn't sit right. You know how the animatronics, like their eyes, they're really hyper realistic, and then their metal joints, they just pop out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And I think that's yeah. And with that added kind of effect of the darkness, I think that's what really gets me sometimes is
Yeah, it's like
that
I'm
kind
not
of
letting
all
my
that
kid near
combined.
that thing. I don't know like what
No.
this video game world is where, this is a family friendly diner, but I have no
Yeah.
idea how this is like a real business. Like,
Yeah.
Chuck E.
Of course.
Cheese,
Yeah.
ever
Chuck E.
since I
Cheese.
played and watched Five Nights at Freddy's, I can't look at it the same way. Okay? That mouse,
No, it just
he's out
looks
to get me.
different.
Yeah.
The mascot is just it adds a whole nother aspect to things, doesn't it? Like Freddy Fazbear being a mascot as well. And then all of a sudden, for example, I used to go to Chuck E. Cheese all the time, and there's always this person dressed up in that rat costume. And
Yeah.
then after playing Five Nights at Freddy's, it really just brings out a new kind of horror to my kind of perspective.
Yeah, a new perspective. That's really it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to go back on like me in the dark and how sometimes I get scared of things in the dark. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's was actually the first horror game I ever played. So I would like to start off with how Five Nights at Freddy's actually caused me to stay up sometimes in the night because with sometimes in the game you actually see Bonnie in the security camera or Freddy in the security camera. You see them peeking around a corner or peeking behind a door. And then at nighttime, my brain, my over imaginative brain tells me that, oh, Bonnie's inside my closet, I should go check, or Freddy's behind my door, I should go open the door and check, right? But then, yeah, that kind of caused me to lose some sleep and caused a lot of sleepless nights because I was kind of paranoid that Freddy or Bonnie was out there to get me. But of course, that was just me, like really little me trying like over imaginative brains. And then yeah, that just got me a lot of times.
Yeah,
And yeah, what about you? How
it's
did
like it's like lurking.
oh
Yeah, like did you like play this game when you were like a child or like did you watch it or something? Like how did you
well I
yeah, how did you see it?
I first kind of started watching it on YouTube. Some people streamed it, and yeah, I kind of wanted to try it out myself. So I downloaded it, the game, and I started playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess even though back then I was like I was young, I was immature. Obviously, I was going to do something rash that was going to later and get me back, right? So like,
Oh yeah, it
I
happens.
wanted to try out Five Nights at Freddy's, get that element of fear, and then I tried it. I got scared so many times, and then like I said before, when I went to sleep, I couldn't sleep because I always had that kind of paranoid feeling
Oh yeah.
about how, yeah, Bonnie or Freddy was gonna jump me when I slept. So yeah, I guess partly was because of me. When I was a kid, I caused a lot of problems with myself because I played that game when I was little. Now, I would
Yeah.
like to bring up another type. You've heard of those fear of small holes. I guess they call
Oh
it
yeah.
trypophobia. Yeah. Yeah. So
I've seen it.
what are your feelings on this trypophobia? How do you feel towards this subject?
Okay, first of all, for those of you who haven't seen these small holes yet, I admire you. I wish I had never seen these holes. It is a gruesome sight. I'm scarred for life. Okay. It is it's disgusting. I don't know what it is about it, but multiple small holes together is just gross. What do you think, Nathan?
Well, see, life was good before I ever found out about trypophobia. So, in case any of you guys do not know what trypophobia is, it's actually a fear of small clusters of small holes. Now, a hole on itself, it's not scary. It's just a hole. It's really nothing. But then take that hole, you shrink it, and you add a bunch of it, and you group them all together. They it's a fear, but for me it's not a fear. It's just I get uncomfortable looking at it. It hurts my eyes looking at it. Like I would search up a picture of trypophobia, and then
Yeah.
there would be this Google image of a hand covered in small holes, and
Yeah.
I want to look away. I want to close the laptop, and I just want to close my eyes forever, but I can't peel my eyes. It's so grotesque, yet it's so mesmerizing. I just can't look away.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it's just yeah, like you said, scarred for life. I'm never gonna forget that. It's always gonna be at the back of my head.
Yeah.
That yeah,
It's really interesting when you think about it. So it's a small hole, right? Typically, that's not really scary, but
no.
like small holes together, close, a lot of them, that's
Hmm.
all of a sudden just really discomforting. So
It's
I don't
just
know. The
yeah,
human
it's
brain's
not
really weird.
necessarily fear. Yeah, I don't know about you. I'm not necessarily scared of it. Like I said, I'm more I'm more unsettled by it. I'm not scared. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's disturbing to look at for sure. So what do you think
Yeah.
about Siren Head? You've probably like seen that guy around.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
actually quite
yeah,
recent. His yeah, that dude actually popped up on the internet a
yeah,
while, and then people our age there've been a lot of memes circulating around about Siren
yeah.
Head. Yeah.
There,
So for those of you guys who do not know who Siren Head or what Siren Head is, I don't know if you would necessarily say who, but Siren Head is basically this giant monster, but he has sirens attached to his head, and so he doesn't have
Yeah.
a head. He has, yeah, like sirens as heads, and there will be memes of him just walking around and playing songs through his sirens, I guess.
Yeah.
And there were games even made of Siren Head, and I, of course, being the horror loving person right now, I actually tried a few games, and yeah, some of them were truly terrifying.
Wait, let me take you back
Uh,
there. You said you loved horror games, so I guess you play a lot of horror
yes,
games.
yes, I do. It's just I don't know about you. You might not like it. You might love horror games like me, but now, I guess as I grow older, the more I kind of play like a horror game, for example, it's just this adre. Like I did mention to you that when you get scared, you do get this adrenaline rush in your body, like your heart starts beating faster, right?
Oh
And you're
yeah.
more aware of things. Yeah, it's that feeling of adrenaline, that adrenaline kick that brings me back every single time, and
Oh,
that's
so you
what makes
play
me
for
kind of
like the
enjoy.
thrill, like the adrenaline rush of being
Yeah, get the
scared.
thrill of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I heard you mention phasmophobia before, right?
Oh yeah, that's
So,
yeah. For some of you
yeah,
gamers out
so
there, you might have heard of it.
yeah,
It's
if
basically
you
a
guys don't know
multiplayer
what
horror game. Yeah, where you
Yeah, if you
like
guys
go
know
around in a
what
house.
phasmophobia, you go around places and you hunt for ghosts. Essentially, that's what it is. So ghost hunting, and now personally, I do not. I don't know about you, Sean, but I do not like playing by myself. I usually like there's a multiplayer option for it,
Yeah.
and yeah, I enjoy playing with a group of people. So what I mean by that is I like to experience getting scared, but experience that kind of fear within a group of people. That just makes it more meaningful and more exciting, right? So like you're with two, three other people and you get scared of a ghost, and I think that's just a really memorable moment that you share with other people.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. The why I play Phasmophobia multiplayer is because I'm actually too scared to play it by myself. Okay, I know, call me a
Oh,
chicken. Okay, it's actually scary. Okay, I can't play Phasmophobia at all by myself. I gotta have at least two other people, right? Because like when you're in the actual house or whatever place it is, you can like crack jokes, to keep it light. Like say, "Oh, did you open that door? I didn't open
yeah.
that door." Yeah, it just helps keep me calm because it's actually a really scary game. Now, have you played this game, Nathan?
Yes, I did say earlier I would people play with others because like I said before, you get that adrenaline rush with other people and it's much more exciting. And like you said, crack jokes when for example a ghost kills another friend, it's
Yeah,
actually kind of funny
yeah, you
rather
can like
than
teabag his
I
corpse
know
and stuff.
I know I might sound a little psychotic by saying if one of our friends dies, I actually burst out laughing, but it's really
No,
really
yeah,
funny if a ghost. Yeah, you get what I
it
mean,
actually is.
but
Yeah, it
yeah.
at least Phasmophobia. Yeah. They're
Phasmophobia,
probably like
yes.
screaming or something. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's that, yeah, like I said before, when you experience getting scared in a group of people, it's much more. I think everyone's sharing that element of fear, so you're not exposed all by yourself. You're not getting full force of that scare. You're actually spreading that, and that's what makes it so fun to play like Phasmophobia or any horror game in general, like with other people around you, because
yeah.
it's, yeah, like I said, much more memorable and fun.
They're way more fun with friends. Like I guess
Yeah.
everything else in life.
In addition to scary video games that have sometimes kept me up many nights, I would also like to bring up some urban legends that have also kind of, spooked the living daylights out of me. So, when I mean urban legends, I'm talking about Slender Man or Jeff the Killer, all those wonderful people we all love to look at. So, I would like to start off with, of course, Slender Man. I first heard of him when I was 12. Actually, a lot of my classmates were talking about all of a sudden this dude called Slender Man. And Sean, I'm sure you're familiar with Slender Man,
Yes, I
right?
have. I'm sure we've all heard of it. He's basically a meme at this point, but he's pretty old. This is kind of like a throwback for some people.
Yeah, this was Slender Man for me, especially right now. Nobody really talks about him, like you said, a throwback. Back then, he was pretty. Everybody kept talking about Slender Man, how So for those people who don't know who Slender Man is, he's just basically this tall man, tall white man. He has no face, no hair, just dressed up in a
In a suit.
suit.
Yeah, but he's
And
like,
yeah, he particularly hunts down little children, which I find very disturbing. And of course, back then when I was 10, I was of course little, and this particularly scared me and scared us everyone, and because we were little children pretty much back then, and Slender Man was very scary back then. But now, like looking back, Slender Man was it's not he's not that scary anymore. But back then,
yeah,
of course, it was a different story.
like
So
looking
like
back,
Slender Man,
yeah.
looking back as in like, oh, like back then he was scary. Now he's not scary at all. And then yeah,
He just looks
and
really
then moving,
goofy now. Like he's just this really tall guy in a black suit with like no
yeah,
face and no
tall guy
hair,
in a black suit,
and
no
he
hair, no
occasionally has like
eyes.
yeah these like black tentacles coming out of his back. Like it just
Yeah.
looks silly. It's like some kind of fish or something. Some kind of experiment. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Some kind of octopus. You know?
Yeah.
It's just not scary anymore.
Yeah, and then of course moving to recent times, actually, there's this thing, I guess you could think this creature. They call it. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but it's called the Ayuwoki. So, it's essentially it's a creepypasta. It's a Spanish creepypasta, and the name Ayuwoki actually came from. So I read this off the internet. It's actually a deliberate misspelling of the lyrics. Annie, are you okay? From
Yeah.
Smooth Criminal by Michael's signature song, Smooth Criminal, and yeah, the name I actually like because are you okay? Are you okay? Right? It
It's kind.
sounds this almost the
The origins
same.
are kind of like funny. It's like it's a song, and they just
Yeah,
spelled it wrong. It's a you woke, a you
yeah,
woke,
but
a
then
you woke, Eddie. You know?
there's this yeah, and then they actually took some people took the game like the urban legend and actually made a game out of it. So that's Ayu yeah, and the game is called Escape the Ayuwoki, and I personally have played it many times because you know me, I am a I love scary games. And yeah, Ayuwoki was one of the things that it frankly scared the living daylights out of me. Especially the jump scares. It's just my okay. So how they refer to it in game, his name is called My Ghoul Jackson. So My Ghoul Jackson. Well, and it's just
Like Michael.
yeah, it's just
Like oh my god.
Michael Jackson, My Ghoul Jackson. It's just yeah, and then it's just they just took Michael Jackson and they just made him 100 times scarier. It's just
Only the
yeah,
internet could come up with this.
like I said before, they just made something like I personally love Michael Jackson and his songs. Like Billie Jean. Yeah, Billie Jean's one of probably my favorite song. And then all of a sudden they just take somebody like Michael Jackson and they just twist him and then just make him into this scary monster that kidnaps people and eats them alive. It's just yeah,
Yeah.
it's just strange how they can take something that's something like personally I think Michael Jackson's kind of cool. So they take something like they take Michael Jackson who's like a cool kind of person and then they just turn him into something so scary that I get so scared when the jump scare gets me.
Yeah, wait, so
Yeah.
how did they make Michael Jackson scary? Because I only saw like a black silhouette, but I imagine in the game it's a bit more in depth. So what is it? Because I haven't seen it before.
Well, so what the Iowoki is actually it's actually this. So what they call it is not necessarily he's not definitely not human, but so what the Iowoki does in the game is the Iowoki kidnaps you and traps you in its house, I guess you could call it. And then you have to so the basically the aim of the game is just trying to escape the house. So yeah, so basically the entire game is you trying to get out and avoiding, of course, of avoiding the Iowoki. And to avoid him, you have to hide in these spots. And what's cool for me personally is the feature in the Iowoki in Escape the Iowoki is how the Iowoki can actually hear you through your mic. So if you speak too loud in your mic, the Aoki can actually hear you
Nah.
and come to you and kill you, right? That's I think it might be scary as heck, but it's actually very scary. It's actually very fun. And yeah, and then I personally enjoyed the game even though I got scared countless of times. But yeah, Michael Jackson, I should say, is yeah, they just made him even though I was scared, I think they did a really good job on that game,
Yeah.
and I was particularly scared for that matter.
I don't know. I haven't played it, but it sounds pretty good. I might give it a try, maybe if I
Yeah,
get the
it's
courage to.
totally
Yeah. So wait,
yes.
what
Yeah,
exactly
it's a
is it? An Ayuwoki? Is it like I know it's
and
not like a human, but like what does it look like?
well, so for those people who haven't played Escape the Ioki, I will not spoil it. Well, I will spoil it, but if you don't want to hear about it, just stop now and don't listen. But if you have, I'll continue. So you've been warned. So the Ioki, what they described it in game is like a demon, like a demonic entity that has been summoned by cult members who give them eternal life, essentially. And yeah, that's what they make. That's what they call the Ioki, like a demonic entity who is being summoned.
Oh,
And I find it's not that. It's just the appearance of the Ioki or Michael Jackson. Call him whatever you call him in your neck of the woods. You get what I mean. So the Ioki is just it's like Michael Jackson after he has had that plastic surgery, makeup, whatnot, and
oh,
then it's just he has these pointy teeth that it just seems out of place, and he has these two bulging bloodshot eyes that just stare at you as he kills you. And I find that to be especially very terrifying for me. It just strikes fear into players' hearts. You get what I mean, right?
yeah. Teeth are, like fangs. That's like a survival mechanism of like,
Yeah.
it's scary. Like
Hmm.
you stay away from predators with big fangs because they'll probably eat you and stuff.
Yeah, it's just really unnerving just to look at Michael Jackson that got turned into something scary, and
Yeah,
then yeah, like I said, they just took like an urban legend and then they turned it into
yeah.
like
They turned a
a
spelling
scary
error
game.
into like a
Yeah,
horror game. Only on the internet.
yeah.
I'm telling you, only on the internet.
Actually, that reminds me. You've heard of somewhere in your life. You've heard of Jeff the Killer. I'm sure you have.
Yeah, yeah. He's maybe back in grade 4 when another student was playing a prank on me. They'd send me like
Oh,
put me on a website where there's like a jump scare
oh,
of
I
Jeff the Killer.
see.
Yeah, it was
So
bad. It was
yeah,
rough.
the first time I heard of Jeff the Killer, yeah, like was definitely. I think it was after I heard of the Slender Man. So Jeff the Killer essentially is this serial killer who it's just when I looked at him, I I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep at all. Like it was not that I had trouble sleeping. I just couldn't sleep at all. Like that image of Jeff simply was burned into my head. I just couldn't get the image out of my head at that time. It's just for those of you who do not know what he looks like, I strongly do not suggest you search it up. You're good. You're fine. You're like without searching him. So please search at your own discretion. I personally do not recommend you
Yeah,
search up who he is. And so what he does is he goes into his victims. I should say he goes into his victims' bedrooms, and tells them to go to sleep and then kill them. And then I just find that kind of like you said, it's just some elements in him. So I'll just kind of describe him as best as I can. So
mm-hmm.
Jeff the Killer, he is essentially this dude with like a bleached white kind of face. He doesn't have eyebrows. He doesn't have a mustache. He doesn't have a nose, and his lips are like red, and it's just that. And then his eyes are like just bulging, and he's smiling. He's got that and of course, I would like also bring up that idea of smiles. Now, for me, smiles aren't scary necessarily, but it's just if like a character like take Jeff the Killer, right? His smile is big and it's very wide.
It's
See, I
a
think
it's a
if you
psychotic smile.
yeah, psychotic smile.
Yeah,
See, exactly. And like I think the yeah, a psychotic smile. It's a smile usually is it usually is supposed to convey this sense of kind of affirmation or like kindness, but like a psychotic smile, it's off. It's not right. It doesn't feel right when you see somebody smile that with like bulging eyes and smiling at you, right?
Yeah, it's a scary thing. But
Yeah.
nowadays, I'm not really scared of Jeff the Killer like as
No,
much.
not anymore. Yeah.
Like
And
to
then
me,
he
yeah. Okay, he kind of just looks like he looks like Voldemort if Voldemort put on lipstick and he was white. He was like very white. That's Jeff the Killer to me right now. If you look at the image, I think you'll come to the same conclusion.
yeah, kind of. I can see where he got that thought process from. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just something off about him. I guess that's just how there's this element of fear from Jeff the Killer. So yeah, it's just I find this like I guess you call urban legend to be of Jeff the Killer to be especially scary because it's just the rumors that circulate around about how Jeff the Killer's gonna get you. I had friends back then
Yep.
who said, "Oh, Jeff the Killer's gonna get you right now," and I'd be like, I'd go to sleep thinking, "Oh, is Jeff the Killer in my? Is he in my bedroom or is he underneath my bed?" Right?
Yeah. When you're young and impressionable, these little
Yeah,
things, you'll think
yeah,
they're real, but yeah, now that you're a bit
yeah,
older,
but
they're not as scary.
yeah, and then moving on. So in addition to like Aoki, Jeff the Killer, and Slender Man, I would like to move on to a Japanese urban legend. So for those of you out there, please tell me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I might be, but I do not know that, of course. So her name is called Kuchisake Onna. So that in Japanese translates to slit mouthed woman. Now, like the title itself, I don't know about you, Sean, but the
Yeah.
title itself just gives me chills. Slit mouthed woman. Now that is just
Well, yeah, it's like, what does that even mean? Slit mouth? Like,
slit
what?
mouthed
What
woman.
does it mean?
It's
Yeah.
just like I said many times. It's this hint of ambiguity. You don't know what it means, right? Like
Yeah.
what's slit mouth, right?
Also,
Anyways,
it's Japanese. It's foreign. Like,
yes, it's yeah.
but you don't know what's gonna happen in these
No,
Japanese legends. Yeah. Okay, so I
unpredictable.
haven't actually heard of this. So what is it about?
So Kuchisake Onna or slit mouthed woman is essentially it's about a person like a woman who cheated on her samurai husband, and of course the husband finds out on her infidelity, and he okay this is kind of gruesome. He slashed her face by cutting like ear to ear, so her face is permanently mutilated. Like it's slit, like a big slit from her ear to ear. So it's like it's cut open her face, and then he then says, "Let's see if anyone will find you pretty now." And then, of course, she comes back as a vengeful spirit.
So she dies
And
from it,
then,
from the cut.
yeah, well, no, she doesn't die from the cut. I think she just got cut on, like her face got cut, and then
Yeah.
she died. Like she didn't die of the cut, but she died of later causes. Who knows? And
Oh,
then she
okay.
came back as a vengeful spirit. And then, according to this website, she asks people in Japan questions. For example, so she asks them, "Or is she? Am I?" So like she says, "Am I pretty?" So this is when she has. Okay, so there are multiple iterations of this. There are sources that say she wears like a scarf or. So I'm going to use the one because it's kind of relevant to like the current situation right now. She
Yep.
wears a surgical mask. She wears a surgical mask, and
Oh,
she'll ask somebody, "Am I pretty?"
yeah.
And if you say no, she's gonna kill you. If you say yes, well, she's gonna take off her mask and then she's gonna show you that god awful mutilation that her husband gave to her when she was alive. So like her slit mouth.
Yeah.
And then she'll ask you, "Am I pretty now?" Now this is the weird part. If you say no, of course she's gonna kill you. If you say yes, she's actually gonna cut your mouth the same way her husband did to her.
Oh,
So you can't
so there's
really
no winning here.
no winning here. But
Yeah.
then there are some sources that say you can trick her by asking her, "Am I pretty?" So like if she asks me, "Am I pretty?" You can turn that question around to her and ask her if you're pretty. So if you ask her this question, she's supposed to get confused, and you're just supposed to run away.
Then
And
everyone's asking if she's pretty. She's like, "Am I pretty? Are you pretty?" It's like, what's going on?
yeah, yeah. And then okay. Anyways, I digress, but I want to get to the main topic of what. So this is why Kuchisake Onna scares me the most. I think out of all these urban legends, it's just this. There's this. You feel sorry for her that she was essentially mutilated by her husband, but then all of a sudden she comes back at this as this vengeful spirit, right?
Yeah, that's not cool,
And
dude.
then yeah, that's not cool for her to come back like that.
Yeah.
But then she asks you these questions, which she her covering her face with, like, for example, like I said, surgical mask. It's not as scary. But then when she takes it off, I guess that's when I get scared. I searched up photos of her, and I am, I guess you could say, shocked,
I haven't
to
seen
say
the
the
photos
least.
actually.
Well, let me tell you right now, you're better off not seeing them because it scared me. It scared me a lot. And since they say she will get you, even though it's in Japan only, sometimes when I go out just to take out the trash, I actually look down the street and look the other way, just in case if she just pops out. I don't know, she just jumps out from behind a bush and it's like, "Am I pretty?"
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just me being paranoid, I guess. And then I sprint back to the house, and sometimes I slip on the ice because,
Oh
yeah,
damn. So this is like modern day stuff, right?
yeah, modern day stuff. And
Oh
then
yeah.
I know, even though they say, oh, it's just in Japan, it only happens in Japan, and like that's not gonna stop me from looking down the street to see if she might pounce on me one time. So yeah, I just after I sometimes I take out the trash, I usually just leave it there and run back to my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also this other. I don't know if you heard of this, but her name, I believe, is pronounced Tiki Tiki.
I don't know. I don't go much on I can
Oh,
the urban legends. Yeah.
well, I actually never found out about her until months this was months ago. My friends were in school. They were talking about, yeah, like urban legends like Kuchisake Onna, and then they all of a sudden brought up Tiki Tiki, and so I asked, I don't know, I was just kind of curious, and then I was like, "What's the Tiki Tiki?" So they tell me about her. It's so essentially it's another Japanese urban legends. It's about a girl, like a schoolgirl. One day, it's so this is very tragic and very gruesome. She actually
Hmm.
got cut in half on a railway track.
Yeah.
And then, like the previous Japanese urban legend, she actually comes back. And then if she catches you, she actually cuts you in half, the way she got cut in half. So,
This seems to be a common theme. People dying, then they come back to life, and they're pissed about what
hmm
happened to them.
yeah, it's kind of like I see this reoccurring pattern in these two what's it called, Japanese urban legends. Like the person dies, and then like in like a horrific injury, maybe not the Kuchisake Onna, but both of them die, and then they both of them come back as a vengeful spirit trying to
Yeah.
kill other people, right? It's just okay. This one doesn't necessarily scare me that much because it's just gruesome to learn that someone died. I mean, cut in half on a railway. That's
Well, I
pretty
mean,
damn
this is
gruesome.
urban legend, so we don't even know if it's true or not.
Yeah, a lot of urban legends, they're legends, so who knows if they're real or not, because
Yeah.
they've circulated on the internet a long time, and people now think they're real or something, but who really knows? They might, well, they are, to me, they are just fake, but nothing's really just going to stop me from being paranoid and doing things like with Kuchisake Onna, like I said before, look down the street, see if she might just pop up somewhere, right?
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm not
that's what I
really
mean.
scared of these because there's plot holes, right? So like, okay, this is me just picking it down a bit, but I know it's for
Yeah,
fun, but
sure.
I'm just gonna pick it apart, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, let's say I don't know, I go to Japan, right, and I see this
hmm
Kuchisaki Onna, right, and she,
Yeah.
asks me, is she pretty? But it's like in Japanese because she's Japanese. So I'm like, pardon? I'll be like, oh, konnichiwa or something, and then she'd be like, she won't understand me, and I won't understand her. So just It's a strange
I
situation. These are
yeah,
legends.
I guess you're right because she might be saying it in Japanese, and personally, I do not know any Japanese. So, and
Yeah,
what are the chances of? Yeah, right now we're in a global pandemic. I don't think we can travel, so the chances
yeah.
of
I
us
mean,
going to Japan anytime is zero. So,
that
yeah,
being
like you
said, she is
said.
very
That
responsible.
being
She's
said,
wearing a mask at least
yeah,
if
she's
she goes
being
out.
very
Yeah,
responsible. Like, yeah, like a surgical man. Yeah, she might be a vengeful spirit who came back from the dead to
yeah.
kill random people. But she's very responsible. She
She's
actually
following the
wears a
rules.
mask.
She's following the
Yeah,
rules.
she's
Yeah,
following the
you
rules.
gotta you
Yeah,
gotta respect her for that. You know.
yeah. You gotta give her credit. Even though she's a murdering spirit, she still follows the guidelines and wears a mask.
Yeah,
Which yeah, like you said, give her credit for.
yeah. People need to take notes. Honestly.
Yeah,
All right, that wraps it up for today, everyone. You've been listening to BroPod. I'm Sean,
and I'm Nathan.
and we'll see you all next time.